From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. Today's pod is an exclusive extended edition with extra information and conversation beyond what you saw in our Sunday morning broadcast. Tammy Butler Robinson is the CEO of Engaging Solutions. Her path to this point in her life has been dedicated to making a positive impact on her community at every level. She is one of this year's featured leaders in the upcoming NAWBO Boss Ladies magazine. A few minutes with her and you'll know exactly why she's picked for that.
Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com.
I'm Tammy Butler Robinson. I'm the CEO of Engaging Solutions. We're a management consulting firm based in Indianapolis, Indiana. Healthcare is the majority of the work that we do, improving patient populations.
So what was your journey to get to where you are now?
Well, I always say that I was born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina, and ended up in the Midwest as a HUD Fellow at Ball State University. So I'm an urban planner by trade and enjoy being able to really lean into that space, which helps me to be able to elevate community at the same time. So once I graduated, I had a wonderful mentor, Dr. Linda Keys, who passed away not long after I left Ball State University, but she was an anchor for me, and one that there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her and what she instilled in me. And then following that, actually went into working for a small not-for-profit in Anderson, Indiana, building housing for those that were working at Delco Remy and in that particular space as well. And so my role was really involved in a lot of the community engagement, being able to plan for where the housing was going to go and then what additional resources were needed. After leaving Delco Remy and that work that I did in Anderson, Indiana, I eventually went into state government and worked in various capacities. I served as the data director for the Office of Medicaid Policy and Planning. I was also over claims management, making sure that claims got processed fast and people got their money. And then I went into the state budget agency as the assistant director over health and human services. And so was heavily involved in making sure that preparing budgets, being able to do the analysis that was important, being able to make sure that we were being good stewards of the funding and of taxpayer dollars. Shortly thereafter, I was recruited by Representative Bill Crawford, who was the first Black chairman of Ways and Means. And so I served under him, and it just took me to a whole nother place of understanding about advocacy, about policy making, and what is important for the least of these. Being able to make sure that there is equity in the processes that we engage in and that we respect and look out for everyone.
When did you as an entrepreneur, what did that light go on that you knew that you could still serve, but you could actually make a living at this?
It was a day off from the state, which was Martin Luther King Day. And on that day off, my business partner, now business partner, Vanita Moore and Deborah Simmons Wilson, and we started having a conversation and just said, hey, it's a day off. Let's sit down, pull out some notebook paper, some Post-it pads, and what can we create to create a legacy for our families? And by the time we were done with that day, we had really charted that path, and Engaging Solutions was born that day. And the community embraced us tremendously. And, I always say that no man is an island, that it takes all of us, even for the personal goals that we may have in our day-to-day journeys, but for someone else to be able to hold our hand, lift us up, and help us to be able to reflect and understand what the future looks like. And so several of both minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, as soon as they heard that our doors were open, really began to connect and encourage and ask, what can we do to help? There were people that gave us laptops. Indiana Black Expo allowed us to have discounted space in their building as we were starting out as an entrepreneur. And we made sure that as we continue to grow and get our footing, that we would give back to community. And so Engaging Solutions does just that. Every year we give back what many call a tithe to community, being able to make sure that we sow into the Community Alliance on the Far East Side or the International Marketplace on the West Side of town, to make sure that we are staying connected to community, that we are elevating community, and most of all, being able to make sure that there's love to go around.
Well, it's certainly easy to understand why you were selected to be a part of the leadership of the NAWBO and part of this upcoming magazine. I mean, that is an esteemed group that you're a part of. What do you feel about that group and about the leadership that we are now able to shine a light on?
NAWBO was very instrumental for me, and I would say in many ways it changed parts of my trajectory in regards to leadership and how to lead. I started out, I was recruited by another female leader and said that, hey, you need to be a member of NAWBO. And I said, okay, I started thinking about, my time, and is this something that I could commit to? And then after I had that very first meeting and connecting, and the energy that was in the room and the love, and it felt like my people, right? In a space that I wanted to be in a space that I could thrive in, but also be able to learn and share in a way that was sacred, is what it felt like. And so through that, gaining a lot of relationships, being able to really understand what the needs of other people in the organization, other women in the organization were, got involved in a subcommittee to be able to participate in programming and programmatic aspects. I also became a in leadership for the Governmental Affairs Committee, understanding that I came out of government, and particularly seeing bills become a law and how it impacts people, and making sure that there's a voice for everyone. And so as a result, I joined the NAWBO Governmental Affairs Committee, and then eventually became a co-lead on the Governmental Affairs Committee. And so we spent a lot of time making sure that we were advocating for women, advocating for their rights, making sure that there was literacy and understanding in regards to how to navigate and to be able to stand up for yourself, and to advocate also on behalf of others at the same time.
Why is it so very important that women and men, business owners in particular, are paying attention to what's going on? And why is now this the perfect time to be shining this light on this group?
The time is now. And the reason why the time is now is that there's a lot of risk and a lot of setbacks that could actually happen, where progress is being deterred instead of progress being made. And in that regard, we have to continue to be knitted together. We need to have those late night chats and early morning coffees to really define and say, what is the path forward? How can we elevate our sisters and our brothers as well? And looking for solutions to ensure that the strides that have been made and the sweat equity of others that came before us doesn't get lost. And so it's important for the conversations to continue, but not just conversations, but actions. And for us to be able to show up and make sure that we're advocating on behalf of not just the present, but also the future.
What is the passion that warms your heart, that gets you motivated to continue the work that you're doing?
I have two sons. So Brian Jr., he recently graduated from Purdue University. He's a mechanical and robotics engineer. And when I went through divorce, he had what was called a brain break. He could not reconcile what was happening he's like, I never even heard you all have an argument. So it doesn't make sense. And so as an engineer, he couldn't reconcile it. And so it took us some time, working with health professionals to walk it through and to get him back to reconciliation. And when I think about the journey that he took and the way that he fought and the way that others also galvanized around us, where people brought food to the hospital. And I remember I would always bring pictures and I would say, hey, this was you as the captain of the Mount Vernon football team. This was you when you were in the Boy Scouts, to bring that piece of reflection. Sometimes stress and things will come in such a way where it can literally knock you out, both mentally and physically. And there's going to take something that has to anchor you to get you back to center. And so for him, we were given 1 hour each day to come and visit him. And that hour, and we had to advocate for that hour because he was 18 now at this time. And so he was an adult. And we were not to come. And I said, the only way that our son, will recover is if we are present with him. And so we were able to escalate it all the way to the CEO of the hospital. And one thing I tell people is that it's so true. Don't take no for an answer. It's important to advocate and to advocate for people that cannot advocate for themselves. Because at that time, my son didn't even have a language to speak, to try to explain what was happening in his life at that time, because everything that he knew before, he no longer understood. And so as a result, people really, they started just showing up once again. And I know I keep talking about people, but we can't do this work alone. And you need somebody in your corner. You need somebody that's going to say a prayer that you didn't even know God said, or a word of encouragement, or a reminder to someone that, hey, I saw that job was open. I'm willing to give you a recommendation. I know this person that can be able to help you. And while at the end of the day, you still have to stand on your own to interview and get the job, but someone at least opened a door that you could walk through. And that's what it all comes down to when we talk about community, when we talk about elevating others. When we talk about in this season that we're in, where it has taken us down a very negative path, but then we have to reflect back and say, who am I? Who am I authentically? Who am I going to show up as today? And the person that I show up as today should consistently be the person that I am. And so we can't be wavered by the things that we see that could allow us to fret. There's a book that I have and it says, fret not yourself of evildoers. And that's the way that we have to operate, that we're not scared, because he didn't give us the spirit of fear. He gave us power, he gave us love, and he gave us a sound mind. And that's what we have to operate in the work that we do, and bring others along and encourage them too, because they may not understand. And so it's spending time with people. Sometimes we're all in the rat race. and I'm guilty myself sometimes where it's like, oh, I didn't call that person back. I was supposed to return that email. But we have to take some time to stop, because at the end of the day, it's about people. It's about caring for them. It's checking on them, because so much is happening. And if someone doesn't reach out, then someone could slump into a very dark place with all that is happening in the world. And there has to be lights that are shining that say, hey, we're good over here. Step on over, because that's important.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, beoshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV, or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunities show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at beoshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.